Hello, all my little bun buns. Daisy here with you tonight, feeling well dressed, fancied up for you this evening. So, tonight's thought, well, it's going to be a little bit of a story time. A story time from when I was little about foodstuffs. Now, this one doesn't exactly have a definite beginning and end because I'm not exactly sure the points when I first recognized these concepts or when I realized why they were weird, but in general, this was from when I was fairly smallish. Straighten my, that's the wrong way. Can't be straight tonight, can I? Can I ever? Anyway, so we're going to talk about food things. Food things that confused me a little bit as a child, and I later learned why they were. So, you can feel free to laugh at me for some of this stuff because a lot of it was because I was a little kid who did not understand where things came from or what things really were. So, we're going to start off with the start. Chicken. So, um, I don't remember how long ago it was that I'd first remembered picking up a drumstick and enjoying it. But as a little kid, that's pretty much an American pastime. Hand a little kid a drumstick, they feel like Conan the Barbarian, they have a meat on a stick. I was annoyed by part of it though. What? Annoyed by the chicken leg? Why say you this? Was it the meat? No, love that. Skin? Love that stuff. Actually, it was lack of skin that bothered me. Now, hear me out on this. So, as a kid, I didn't fathom the construct of where the chicken leg exactly came from. I assumed it was part of the leg of the chicken. But having looked at chicken's legs and there were those spindly little orange things, I didn't understand how this was directly involved in that. Because the chicken is basically a ball of feather fluff, you don't, as a kid, get to really, unless you're a farm kid, pick it up and examine. Oh, that's where the muscle groups are. Oh. No, no, no. Chickens were feather balls with little spindly leg things coming out, just like every other bird. Um, so I had a chicken leg. And part of it annoyed me was, why wasn't it completely covered in skin? It didn't make sense to me. Because to me, I didn't even, value that as the actual animal's skin. Again, chicken is a ball of feathers on the outside. It's not a ball of skin. I didn't realize as a child that chicken actually had skin underneath the feathers. I know, this you can go ahead and laugh at me. Little kid didn't pick up on all the attributes of life. So, I didn't realize first off that skin was actually the skin of the chicken. I just thought it was a layer underneath everything else that was still edible. Nope. um, nope. So that was a major shocker when I eventually found that out. But it annoyed me that it wasn't covering all the spots because, well, I mean, a chicken skin would not cover every inch of the leg because the leg has an attachment point. Being that I thought this was just some kind of weird layer of food coating that an animal came with, I just assumed it would go everywhere so that a drumstick would basically be, a full top of skin. Because the bottom looked like it was complete. It always, the bone end at the bottom, I just thought it had kind of a cap to it that seemed attached to the skin and go all the way up. Why not the top? What's wrong with it? This also then went to when I finally found out what a chicken thigh was, being confused that it did not have skin all the way around it. Okay, so eventually when I learned about all this stuff, and realized that one day when we had a whole chicken on the table, which we had often, I don't know why it never got me that this is how things were. Uh, like, oh, that's how the anatomy works. Oh, then why is the spine on the bottom? Oh, that's the back, and we eat the bottom part of it. Oh. So that was a big realization point as a kid when I found out that chickens were animals and this is how they were constructed. Part of why I probably had less and less attachment to these functions, the whole construct of the animal. One, in the United States, we don't sell the chickens with the feet attached, so extreme detachment there. I'm not associating this with the remaining part of the chicken. Also, we don't sell them with any neck whatsoever attached to the chicken or the head, obviously, because no neck. So I didn't see any of that stuff attached. So it was hard to concept which parts of the animal we really, how this really related to the functional animal until I saw at least the assembled roast bird and, it clicked in my head how it all went together. Um, so that was a epiphany moment. Also, we don't sell them with much of their innards. At best, you'd get a little uh, paper baggie or plastic baggie inside the cavity that had like the liver and the gizzard and the heart in it. First off, little kid barely knows human anatomy, and you put something like a gizzard in front of them. We don't have one of those. So you have three organs, two of which make sense, one of which looks way too small both of which look way too small for this body that we have in front of us. The heart is just this little, the ones we would always get, or just like maybe the size of the nuts of two peanuts put together. And I'm like, how does that circulate blood through all discs? More than likely, it didn't. More likely, that was from another chicken. Uh, but yeah, I learned I did like those parts, though. They are very delicious. Because they're not as much, but the heart and the liver, those are really tasty. Um, but I learned about a few other animal portions that I hadn't realized for ages where they actually came from. Um, cow bits. Um, if you think about steaks and things, I just assumed pretty much all cow meat came from the leg areas because, well, where else is the muscle? I didn't think about that. So it wasn't until I believe I was like an adult almost that I realized I was watching the Food Network and they were showing where certain steaks came from. And when I saw the diagram of the cow and like where, it's like I had no idea that most all the delicious parts of the cow are off its back. And like all the stuff that's on the legs, which is where I thought all the good meat was, all the yummy steaks and things. Oh no, that's at best stuff you'd make hamburgers out of, or the roast that someone's gonna overcook until it tastes like caca. Um, yeah, go figure. So that was a special learning bit. Um, and eventually I learned where some other parts of animals came from. Like, well, yeah, I figured where ribs came from. At least I knew those were from around the rib cage of an animal. Um, and bacon apparently came from the pig's belly area. Like, oh, that makes some sense. It's kind of muscly, but kind of fat. That makes sense. I learned. Uh, but yeah, animals are interesting food units. Now, I did grow up in nearly middle of nowhere Pennsylvania, which means we also ate a lot of things that don't come off a store shelf. Things like bunny. I didn't know I ate bunny when I was a kid, but I do know now that I did, and I recognize what it was because it looked like chicken. It was all dark meat. This was after I recognized what a chicken was when it was cooked. Then I recognized then what a chicken that wasn't a chicken was all cooked like. Which, if you like dark meat, very good option right there. um, so yeah, um, looking back, I now recognize sometimes that I know I definitely had eaten rabbit, which again, delicious. I knew I deer because almost every male in my family went hunting, so that was kind of an annual thing. At least somebody was bound to get one, and you were bound to have at least one dinner of deer every year. And I'm not going to lie, that's delicious. That's an amazing food. Um, and as I got, I, even as I was old enough to realize what cow parts look like, I can't necessarily say which steak or chop or whatever came off the deer and where it came from and what portion it was. I didn't eat them often enough to recognize what bits I was eating, let alone where they came from on the specific animal. At least the smaller critters like rabbits and squirrels, you can figure out leg is a leg, breast is a breast, because they're generally served as a whole unit. Um, hmm. Yeah, food's weird. Animal critter foods. Don't even want to try and think about where things like sausage and hot dogs necessarily come from. They come from the store because I like to eat them. I know what they probably are made out of. I'm okay with not really thinking about that. Yeah. So that was some random babbling about me realizing where food parts come from of animals, and I hope you found that at least somewhat comical. uh, so, were you? Do you remember when you first realized that a chicken leg was the leg of a chicken, or where a steak came from on a cow? And what were your weird thoughts about this stuff? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'd be amused to hear what your experiences were as a kid too, or an adult if you were that long before you realized where some of this stuff came from. The more city life you are, the less chance you learned about this stuff earlier. Uh, so, yup, yup. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little dingly bell lets you know when I post new videos. And don't forget my Patreon is listed in the description below. If you're so inclined, I appreciate anything put into there. I do use it to support the channel. And I have not wasted any money yet, and I don't think I will anytime soon because I'm already well on my way to overspent what I probably get for the next several years. Yay! Anyway, thank all you pretty buns for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon. So stay pink and fluffy, and I will see you on the next video.